Tate McRae is a triple threat. Girl can sing, girl can dance, and girl can do hair choreography. And yes, bitch, that is a completely separate category of slay. Welcome back to Cute Shit with Brie, where we do cozy girly talk. If you like cozy girly talk, then I like you. It's raining outside. We got the rain ASMR, just like I ordered from Amazon. Thank you, Daddy Bezos. We got the candle lit. We got the cozy sweater on. The vibes are vibing. Okay, it's the perfect day to talk about our girl, Tate McRae. If you don't know her, I ain't gonna judge yet, but you about to know her. Tate McRae, I feel like, is everywhere right now in my algorithm. I don't know where she is in your algorithm. Maybe she hasn't arrived yet, but believe, baby girl, she's about to arrive. Tate McRae is dragging us, kicking and screaming, whether we like it or not, into a new era of pop. But let's talk about the status of pop right now. I feel like the status of pop right now is a little bit in our feels, as we all are. Like, we went through COVID, we survived this whole thing, we're out of it, but like, are we out of it? Like, if we're honest with ourselves, like, are we all on anxiety meds? Are we all depressed? Are we all just like going through PTSD? Yes, yes, and yes. So it's like, we're not out of it. No. But I do think that what was kind of popular then and even before was like this more sad girl kind of pop, like deep in our feels. Like, we wanted the lyrics to be lyricking. We wanted shit to like speak into our souls, you know? And what we did was we kind of switched like this, what I'm gonna call like high octane, high energy type of pop for a more sad girl, like slightly lower energy type of pop. And is there anything wrong with that? Not necessarily. It's just a change. It's just different. However, I'm ready for like the change to change back, right? I'm ready to go back to high energy. So let's lay out the pop landscape. Right now, it's like, who's popular? Who's in pop? Who's getting nominated? Who's our pop girlies? We've got some Billie Eilish. Billie Eilish, I love you, girl, but sad to the max. The saddest of sads. She drug us, kicking and screaming into sad girl era. Her and Lorde, holding hands, ha 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 ha, ha 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 ha, with tears streaming down our faces into sad girl summer, every summer with Billie Eilish and Lorde. You know, we've got our head bitch in charge, Taylor Swift. Even Antihero, right? It's like, that song is very lyrically focused and very slow. You're not like going to the club and you're not just like turn up to Antihero. You're not. You might be, but like, we're collectively like not doing that. Slower. Selena Gomez, again, she has some like more up tempo, but that's usually when she's like collaborating with someone, which is pretty much all she's been doing lately with her most recent singles. Doja Cat, again, a little more upbeat, up tempo. It's not quite like high octane, high energy. It's not quite like, I think we're all very nostalgic these days. It's like, we want those early aughts. We want the early 2000s. We want the Britney. We want the ex-Tina back. And it's like, we have not that. We have like Olivia Rodrigo, which is like, again, a little bit rock, a little bit punk, very lyrically focused. It's like fun, but it's not like I'm going to the club and I'm like absolutely forgetting my own name. I'm not doing that to driver's license. I'm not doing that to making the bed. I'm not doing that even to Bad Idea Right. I'm like going like this to Bad Idea Right, but I'm not doing like hair choreography to Bad Idea Right. So I just feel like the pop landscape, even Sabrina Carpenter, who I love, who I talked about last week as being potentially one of the main breakout pop girls of 2023, I think her style is like a little bit slower, which I still think there's room in pop for like these slightly slower type of bangers. And not that they're not bangers still, but it's like, when I talk about high octane pop, I'm talking about like marrying dancing and singing and that whole performance like almost equally. It's like you're weighting the dancing and the singing equally. Now, who's really doing that on the scene right now? You could say Beyonce. But I would argue that Beyonce is almost too good at singing to really be high octane pop. And I'm gonna get absolutely flayed. I'm gonna absolutely simmered, broiled, roasted in the comments maybe for saying this, and do it, okay? I love it. But I feel like Beyonce is like too good at singing to be like what I'm considering high octane pop. Like when I think of high octane, I'm like Nelly Furtado, Promiscuous Girl. Those are fine vocals, but it's like I'm going into the club. It's like Promiscuous Girl comes on. It's just like, yes, dancing, yes. It's like the vocals aren't so good, I'm like being distracted. I'm just like having a fun time. With Beyonce, it's like sometimes the vocals are so good, it's like you're almost like having a come to Jesus moment in the club. That's not really what you want. It's like too good of vocals sometimes. Other times she kind of pairs it back and favors the production over the vocals and the performance over the vocals. So sometimes she does hit that sweet spot. And it's like, obviously Beyonce's Beyonce. She's in a different category. Dua Lipa, you could say maybe is trying to marry this like more performance type of pop where it's like singing and dancing and all of it more equally. But still, I would argue it's like her singing, I mean, she had that viral meme, right? Of the Dua Lipa dance where it's just like, you know, it's like baby girl's trying, but she's not, do you know? I mean, it's no Britney. That's all I'm gonna say about that. And I do think it's like a lot of us have been so nostalgic for that era of pop because we've just been kind of drugged through this like sad girl summer for like summer after summer after summer. And our rap girlies have been bringing it. I mean, our Nickies, our Cardis, they have been bringing the high tempo, the high energy, but it's like, for me, that's more rap, that's more R&B, that's less pop. So like, where has the high energy been coming from pop? We've been missing it a little bit. We've been missing it, right? It's like, where is that 2001 VMA's Britney performance that bitches are still dressing up as for Halloween to this day when she wore that boa constrictor around her in her little like two-piece crop, her little lowrider pants, and just came to fucking slay and take names. She came to destroy, she came to snatch souls, to snatch wigs, to snatch your mama and your daddy out of the audience and convert them into Britney Spears fans. I just think we're missing a little bit of that attitude. In pop specifically, we're missing. And it's like, I think Tate McRae is like kind of going to herald, shall I say, a new era of pop. I think she's here to declare, I mean, in her first song on the album I'm going to be mostly discussing, which is Think Later, her first song called Cut My Hair, she literally says like, sad girl bit got a little boring. Bitch recognizes what I'm saying in herself and in the industry and genre as a whole. She's like, sad girl bit got a little boring. I'm over it. Like, we're doing something new. We're changing it up. And I think her blowing up and her going viral to the most viral nth degree on TikTok and her performing on like every single late night show is kind of a temperature check of the room. Like, people are ready for this again. People want this again. Okay? So let's talk about it. Let's talk about Tate. Let's talk about our girl, Tate. I'm assuming a lot of you might know this already, but I'm going to go over it anyway. So she's 20 years old. She's a Canadian. Shout out to all my Canadians. They produce some pop absolute gods and goddesses out there. Y'all don't miss sometimes when it comes to pop. She's from Calgary, Canada, and she is a huge dancer. So she's been dancing as long as she's been singing, probably longer. She started dancing recreationally when she was about 6, and she started competitively dancing not long after that. I think she gained a lot of recognition for dancing when she was a contestant on So You Think You Can Dance in 2016. She also performed at Justin Bieber's concert as a dancer. She was on the Ellen DeGeneres show. She was on the cover of Dance Spirit magazine. She won Best Female Dancer at 2018 Dance Awards in Las Vegas. So a bitch can bring it on the dance floor. On the singing side, the first song she ever recorded was called One Day, which she wrote at age 14 in 1 hour. Girl, make us feel bad about ourselves. Make us feel bad about ourselves. 14 an hour. Okay, cool. And she signed with RCA Records shortly after that due to the song's success. When she was 18, she had one of her first breakout singles, which was You Broke Me First. You probably heard it. That song was really, really popular on streaming and also gained a lot of notoriety on TikTok, which is really where she started to pick up fans on TikTok and she started to really leverage that platform. But she also has had her YouTube channel for, I don't even know how long. I think so Tate's had her YouTube channel for 12 years. Her first YouTube video was 7-year-old singing / songwriter. Like, a bitch has been out here hustling on social media. Like, she has been putting herself out there with all these dance performances. She's been putting out videos for 12 years on her YouTube channel. Like, she's been pushing things on TikTok. Like, she's really been out here doing stuff, you know? So she's definitely not like an overnight success by any means. She has been putting in the work, as we say, which I think a lot of us like to see and appreciate. I mean, I think even overnight successes, or those that are labeled overnight successes, aren't actually overnight successes. There's like a ton of work that goes in. But I think with Tate, it's like more obvious and more overwhelming, just like the amount of, there's like more digital evidence of the amount of work that she has put in to kind of like get to this point. Just like with Sabrina, like, these bitches have been working. If you haven't heard of Tate McRae, I am a bit surprised at you, because I feel like she's been everywhere. And she really has, I think, had her kind of breakout moment in 2023, mostly due to the popularity of her song Greedy, which I think is a perfect example of like a high octane, high energy, like full throttle type of pop song that like I want to see more of. And I do think the people in general want more of. I think that can be largely attested to by how popular the song was on TikTok. I mean, if you touch the app of TikTok in 2023, I am almost 100% certain that you heard the song Greedy by Tate McRae. I mean, look it up now if you haven't, but the song is short and sweet and punchy and immediately gets into the lyrics and gets into this like very high energy, kind of like gives no fucks thing about it. And also, that's not surprising because gives no fucks was the writing motto, she said, with this song. Ryan Tedder was the producer for Tate for this song and for her album. This is not Tate's first album. So Greedy is a song on the album Think Later, which again is not Tate's first album, but you could say it is a big tonal shift for her in her work. I thought it was super interesting in an interview that I listened to that she talked about how she and Ryan made the song together and kind of co-wrote, and how he was trying to get her to release this song for a long time before she did, but she was really uncomfortable with it because she said that it was such a different kind of song than what she had written before, and she didn't know how the fans were going to react or how people were going to take it. And she was really, really nervous to release it. So she sat on it for like months. And she said finally, eventually, like when all the different production layers had been tweaked and finalized and she finally okayed them all, she was still uncomfortable, but she like felt better about releasing it, which is just interesting because it's such like, to us, I think, who've heard it, it's such an instant banger, such a like fun, like just like go to the club and dance with your friends type of song. It just goes to show like when you're making these like tonal directional shifts in your career, like I'm sure Taylor Swift kind of felt with Folklore and Evermore, it can be very nerve-wracking because you're like, how are the fans, how are these people who've supported me gonna react? But we're all so thankful that she did it. When she talks about putting it on TikTok, she said it became very popular very fast. And it basically, she played it in Philly. She like premiered it in Philly at a show because she was doing other songs and she just decided to add that song in and just see how it went. And she said people reacted like super strongly to it. And she was like, okay, I think I have something here. And she said she went back into the studio because obviously there were still songs on Think Later, her album, to finish up at that point. And she talked about how she wanted to combine like her love of songwriting and her love of dancing. And she didn't want to write like a song that she couldn't dance to, which I think is super obvious. I think obviously there are songs on Think Later that are more ballady, which I think is what Tate McRae fans would think of as more of a traditional Tate McRae song, but she didn't sacrifice. Like, she didn't leave us wanting. There are certain slightly slower ballady songs, but she really dug deep and she really served us with these high energy, in your face, like no room for breathing pop songs. And I loved it. I loved Greedy. I was so here for it. It really catapulted her into like another sphere of success. And it actually forced her to write the record faster, I think. She said that basically her label told her that they were gonna re-releasing the album like months in advance of when they had actually expected to release it. And I think that's mostly in part because of the success of Greedy. I think if it hadn't blown up so much on TikTok, if people hadn't been responding to it in such an intense way, I don't think she would have had to basically release the album as quickly, but people were just like so enthused about it. It wouldn't have made sense to wait. Her album obviously wanted to capitalize on the success of that song. And I also think part of the success of that song is just like the way she absolutely sells it when she performs it. Like, her performances of it, I think, have gotten better over time. She's kind of found a good happy medium of dance breaks and singing, and we're gonna go all into her performances in a hot second, so just wait. But if we talk about the actual album itself before we get into the performances, again, the album is called Think Later, and I specifically want to talk about like the songwriting and the song structure that I think makes it such like a fun, high energy, high octane, like pop album that we just really haven't had since like the Britney days. I feel like Nelly Furtado, Promiscuous Girl, really does, which is why I mentioned it earlier in this video, it really does harken me back to like that song. Like, so many songs on this record give me that kind of energy. The vocals are vocaling to the extent that they need to. They're good and to some extent great. They could be great. It's like Nelly Furtado is an amazing singer, but like she pairs it back to the extent that like she lets the production shine in parts that it needs to, because that's kind of what pop music is. Like, you let production and vocals almost take equal reign, or let production shine a bit more in certain parts for the sake of like this big, bubbly, shiny performance that you know you're gonna go out and absolutely slay. Filet mignon style. You're going to serve it to the masses and they're going to thank you for your service. But my review of the record, loved it. On my first listen through, it was a bit shocking to me because I am used to, again, this like slower type of pop, this like more sad girl type of pop, this like pop that takes a lot more pauses. There's a lot more quiet space, or a lot more musical breaks where there's no lyrics. There's just like, it's just a little bit of a vibe break. Tate does not give you vibe breaks. So it is a lot to ingest. It's like shaking up a Mountain Dew and just like chugging it. It's a lot. It's like lyrics to song, to song, to song, to song, like high octane, right? It's like you're chugging it. You don't have time to like sit and process and think and like be in your feels, which to me is like what we need in pop. Let me get on my soapbox for a minute. I don't even know why it's called a soapbox. Let me get on something better than a soapbox. Let me get on my stiletto heels and preach at you for a second. We have been in our feels way too fucking much, people. I'm gonna say that. COVID gave us nothing but time to think. Time to be in our heads and run on our little toxic little hamster wheels of absolutely toxic circular thoughts. All we do is sit and think, and then we overthink, and then we go to our therapist and we think some more, and then we go to our friends and we think some more, and all we do is think about ourselves and our own little thoughts, and it's a fucking toxic cycle. What this generation needs, yes, I am gonna generalize because no one asked and I don't care, is to stop thinking, is to do less. The little hamsters need to stop running on their little wheels for a moment and just lay back and vibe. And sometimes what that looks like is listening to a high-octane pop song where the lyrics are going, everything's going so fast, you can't even think. All you can do is whip your hair back and forth. Oh my God, literally gonna set my hair on fire in this candle. But like, I think you guys know what I'm saying. Pop is supposed to help me not think. It's supposed to take me out of my head and out of my little hamster wheel. And it's supposed to give me a break from all that shit, okay? It's not supposed to take me to a deeper part where I'm anti-heroing myself, where I'm even more introspective than I was before. I wanna be outrospective. I don't wanna be overthinking, I wanna be underthinking. I want a one tab open kind of brain. That's what I want. And I feel like that's what Tate's album gives me. And that is no disrespect to Tate. Some of the songs are really well written, but the songs aren't hyper specific. The lyricism, the lyrical trends that I feel like we've seen more and more lately is like very hyper-specific songwriting, which of course gets you more in the feels and more overthinking things. But with less specific songwriting, you're kind of able to just be like, it's a vibe. It's a vibe. It's not so deep. That's what I like. And that's what we need more of. It's just a bop. It's just a banger. It doesn't have to end world suffering. It doesn't have to bring world peace to everyone. It's not gonna stop the polar ice caps from melting, but it's gonna let me have fun for a period of time. And that's what pop is, baby. Britney wasn't draping herself in a boa constrictor because it was gonna end the world war. You know, it wasn't gonna end the conflict in the Middle East. She was doing that shit because it was fun and cool and hot. Because that's pop. I feel like I'm gonna get roasted for that too. But honestly, getting a little bit roasted in like a kind, respectful way is like not that bad. So my review of the record, extremely positive. I loved it. I loved Cut My Hair. I feel like Cut My Hair doesn't get the attention it deserves. Obviously Greedy. Run for the Hills was stunning. I can't believe it wasn't released earlier. X's is not my favorite. X's to me is like almost too high octane. It's almost like AI high octane. Disagree with me below. I'd love to hear your thoughts because I have no one to talk about this because no one I really know is like fangirling on Tate McRae as much as I am. So like, please, I would love to discuss. I love Grave, Plastic Palm Trees. We Are Not Alike, I also really love. And Guilty Conscience. Those are probably my favorite ones on the album. But also it's hard because, you know, it kind of changes day to day. But again, all the songs are super short, super boppy, super like punch you in the face and then on to the next song, and then punch you in the face with that song, on to the next song. The longest song's like just barely a hair over 3 minutes. And it's like Tate is a really good songwriter and really good lyricist. And I've seen that from her 12 years of stunting on YouTube and teaching us how to write and how to like be a good songwriter. She has videos about songwriting, but she doesn't feel the need to rub it in my face every 10 seconds. Like sometimes she's like, this is gonna be a bop, and I don't need to showcase that I'm like the greatest writer of all time. I'm gonna get on stage and I'm gonna give you the most absolutely iconic Mother Teresa of all performances, and you are going to eat it and enjoy it. It's like sometimes pop can just be that. And I am on my absolute high horse right now, my high stilettos right now, but let a girl be on her high stilettos, okay? It's been a month, okay, baby girls? It's been a month. So anyway, Think Later to me is a great example of high octane, pure sugar, pure energy. I want to fight somebody and dance and do hair choreography type of pop. Like it makes you want to break up with your boyfriend even if you don't have a boyfriend. It makes you want to fight even if you don't have anyone to fight. Yeah. Okay, so now onto the performances. To truly be a high octane pop queen, it cannot just be songs. It cannot just be lyrics. It cannot just be high energy. You have to serve the shit out of that on the streets. What you do in the sheets, meaning on the actual record, has to match what you do on the streets. And the streets meaning what you do on the stage. How do you perform? How do you sell it? And Tate is selling it. I don't know what she's selling. I'm buying it. I'm maxing out my credit card to buy it. Some of her iconic performances, like the SNL, she performed on SNL, which I think is a huge marker of just like how much people are simping for Tate, because not many artists get invited onto SNL. It's like a pretty big marker of your own success, and she was invited onto SNL pretty rapidly in the span of like this many months. She was invited onto every late night talk show and capping it off with SNL. So yes, bitch. I cannot find her SNL performances to link below, but I'm linking all these below so you can watch and recap and relive the goddess divine. She performed X's on Jimmy Fallon, which I think was a really good performance of X's and a really good mix of like singing and dancing and just choreography in general. She also does a live performance of X's where she busts out the splits at the end. And this is like recorded on someone's phone, but it's worth it to see her just absolutely out dance every single dancer on the stage and then bust out the splits at the end. I'm powerless against the splits, okay? I'm powerless against the splits, and that's that on that. But my favorite Tate performance has to be Greedy at the Billboard Music Awards. Bitch is flipping her hair back and forth. She has like a costume change that she takes off. It is so Britney, it's so Christina, but it's also very uniquely Tate. The Britney and the Christina and the Nelly Furtado, like those things are all reminiscent. It's like there's nothing new under the sun, right? Everything is sampling a little bit from something else, but also everything is a little bit new. And I do think Tate brings like a new energy and like a new level of pop performance that is super exciting to watch, and just like, it's just fun. It's just escapism. It's just talent on display. And what can I do but applaud? What can I do? What can I do but applaud? So that's the Greedy Billboard Music Awards performance, my top performance. I mean, probably the top pop performance I've seen in a decade, literally. And then she can also slow it down. This was literally just released, but I love the song Run for the Hills. I don't know if I put that in my favorite songs, but it is definitely one of my favorite songs off the record. And Spotify has a acoustic performance, so a bitch can slow it down too. She can speed it up and she can slow it down. It's beautiful. The vocals are vocaling. And so it's like she can out vocal everybody when she needs to. But she also knows that a lot of pop is like control. You don't need to be in this like absolute Ariana range all the time. Like you can be in this range and deliver us the kind of high energy shit that like we need. Right? Because it's like vodka, you cannot chug the way you can chug other things. That analogy doesn't really make sense, but maybe someone will get it. So honestly, I think Tate is all this to say. I think she has like the social media presence to sustain this. Like she's been doing her YouTube channel. She has her TikTok blast off. Like I think the momentum of Tate McRae is insane right now. I cannot think of another artist that has really more momentum behind them. She's getting ready to go on her tour. I think that is really going to add even more momentum because her performances are so good and her dancing is so good that I really do think a lot of those are going to go super viral. A lot of her performances will. The real thing is like, can she avoid like deep burnout? Because like, I listened to one of her interviews and this is what one of her weeks looked like, is like Sunday and Monday, she recorded a music video, or Sunday, she recorded a music video for Run for the Hills, which was a 12-hour day. Then Monday, she had rehearsals for the Billboard Music Awards. Tuesday, she performed at the Billboard Music Awards. Then she took a red eye that night from LA to New York, and then she went straight to SNL, and then she started doing rehearsals for SNL. She did rehearsals for SNL all week and costume fittings and promo photo shoots, and then on Saturday, she actually performed at SNL, and it's like, that's just 1 week for her. That's insane. it's like sometimes when your stardom really starts picking up really, really quickly, shit hits the fan. And it's like, yeah, she's only 20, so like that high energy is there, but like that is a lot in a very short period of time. So my hope is that she's not such a high octane pop girly that she burns out and starts to resent the business and hate what she's doing. But yeah, I think her work on Think Later was amazing. Ryan Tedder was obviously a great producer for her. He is from One Republic. He has experience during that more high octane time of pop. I think everything just kind of fell into place on this record. And I really do think there's going to be a lot of people trying to replicate this like super short, these shorter songs, like fast, high energy. And people are going to have to really level up their performances. I said it. Tate has drawn the bar extremely high. You can't just go on stage in like a cute dress and be like, yeah. No, bitch. I want to see splits. I want to see hair choreography. I want to see outfit changes. I want to see you outpacing your dancers. That's what I want. That's what I want in pop. Am I going to get it? Let's see, baby girls. Let's see what 2023 brings us. Catch y'all next week.